Hey, everybody. Welcome to the e-commerce documentation podcast. We've got a very special guest for you today. We're here with Will Perry, who's the founder of Elite Buyers Academy. Will, thank you so much for jumping on, man.
Yeah, great to be here. Hopefully I don't have a face for radio since we're doing video today as well.
No, thanks, man. Your background, your resume is so impressive. I think you've got so many value bombs to drop today on the show. Um, I was just reading online. Is it $60 million in managed ad spend from your agency?
Yeah, we're probably approaching north of 70 million now. Kind of need to update it like every 90 days, but that's all at the small and medium-sized business level as well, not just like bloated stats from, working with big brands and things like that.
So talk to us about social media ads. A lot of people get it wrong. There's a lot of bullshit out there, frankly, of pixels, it's a bloodbath. Everybody's pivoting away from ads, going into SEO and influencers and not even
Yeah.
touching it. CACs are out of control. ROAS is just getting blown up. People are getting one-to-ones, maybe a 2 ROAS. The days of can we get a 5x ROAS, a 10x or more? What are your thoughts? What's happening? Tell us what's going on, man.
There's a lot that's happening. As you can imagine, a lot of expectation setting has been needed to be had in the last 12 months. Yeah, the golden era is gone. The golden
What?
era of face in terms of the big ROAS and profitability numbers, especially if you're just starting out. We have some accounts that we run on. We have an agency as well, in addition to Elite Media Buyers, which is our mastermind group. But like we've got some accounts where we're getting 5-6x ROAS and stuff like that, but we're talking multi 8-figure brands that have built huge organic followings as well. And so a lot of that plays into your attribution with your ads also. But a lot of things I think to summarize it and concise it down to maybe a couple of key points of like what's going on out there. Only the strong have survived, essentially. So like the drop shipping stuff, the one-time purchase products that people used to sell through ads, that stuff is phasing out hard. Um, and it's really forcing people to approach advertising the way that it is really meant to be approached, which is building long-term audience, acquiring leads, if you will, so that you can monetize on the back end in a variety of ways. Like that could be because of business model, and your business model has recurring purchase built into it.
Right.
So it doesn't just have to be like, oh, you have to send a bunch of email in order to make money.
Right.
It's like, what is your actual approach to acquiring customers in the first place? That will be exposed. I don't care if you're running TikTok ads or Facebook ads or whatever the hell else ads you're running. Like your marketing exposes product or process. And so if you've got a bad strategy, a bad offer in how you're acquiring customers, that's what's going on right now. So anybody that's pissing and moaning about ads not working, the guys like me who have high ticket info businesses and stuff like that as well, like it's all gravy. We're still getting 3, 4, 5, 6x, 7x ROAS on stuff like that because
Right.
the business model works really well with ads, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. But it's those one-time purchase, e-com AOV less than $100. Those are the guys and gals and businesses and brands, etc., that are really struggling because that's the golden era that has passed us, right? The
Right.
ability to be able to optimize through what's working with your ads to find out how to scale, what to kill, etc. That was taken away, and the $100 e-com AOV is what has taken the biggest hit.
Less than 100, it's tough out there. But you do think brands can still compete if they approach their social media advertising in the right way, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're spending millions of dollars a month successfully. It's
So it
like,
still works.
oh
Brands are
yeah,
doing it wrong.
absolutely.
They've gotten sloppy. They've gotten
Yeah.
lazy. What do they need to do? What is it? The creative? Is it video? Is it the basics? What are you
Yeah,
seeing
it's
that's
not.
working?
I mean, to not pick on you hardcore. Obviously, you're asking great questions. It's before any of that. Um,
Okay.
it's really about expectations. I think a lot of people have this idea like I'm gonna create this e-com business, or maybe you're 3 or 5 years in and you have a multi seven figure e-com business, and you're just like, how do I get this to work? And by work, they usually mean I'm not making any money. My bank account isn't reflective of all of the input that I've put in, right?
Right.
And so with that, I would say, what is your expectation of how you're getting customers? Because Russell Brunson tried to tell you guys this stuff. I don't know when they launched ClickFunnels, 8 years ago, when he gave you the concept of the book funnel. And the idea of the book funnel was to build a list for free so that you could sell whatever the hell you wanted the second time around. And the problem is that people are trying to create these profit cash cows by finding the golden product on Amazon or whatever the heck, bringing that over to Facebook and saying, I'm not making money. But the people who approach it of realistically get rich quick or make money fast, the people who are building legitimate businesses, like my only goal for elite media buyers and what we do is to liquidate my ad spend as fast as possible so that I can build a massive community of tens of thousands of people that I can selfishly. And what is how does Ezra Firestone, what is his saying? It's like something like profit ethically, or ethically
Oh,
profit or whatever,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where we can where we can profit. uh why can't I think of the word?
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like
You know what I mean? But like, anyhow,
give
so
back. Yeah.
yeah, so 10 times the amount of value. Like, I appreciate that affirmation early on, but that's our goal. Like, give 10 times the amount of value that we're asking for in return. And the goal is to liquidate ad spend with acquisition, and it should be the same for ecom as well. Because if you have a catalog of products and you're break even on the first acquisition, guess what? Everything else is 80% profit if your margins are good.
LTV. Right. 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 It's not a one and
Yeah,
done. You're,
right.
exactly. Yes.
And so, like, the goal of paid traffic should be to acquire customers at break even or a slight profit,
So
right? But
everybody's got
what
it wrong trying to make money on the initial transaction.
Yes, and you're going to get people that are going to follow up on this podcast and post it in the comments or whatever, like, oh, I'm making money on. Yes, they're the exceptions, right? There's absolutely people who are making money from their ads on acquisition, but then the question becomes, what is the offer that they're using? Are they selling a $5,000 piece of furniture,
Right.
and the CAC
Right.
is $500,
Right.
right? Do they have a subscription and the subscription's $29, but they lost money, and then they're 5x on the 90-day LTV? Like, are they an ad agency that, the CAC is $1,500 but the AOV is 20 to 100 grand? Like, yes, people are making money through ads, but like, the one-time purchase products with $50 AOVs, especially in the United States of America, probably not making money. We absolutely have people who are doing well on the front end in Australia, in Europe, in the UK, where the CPMs and the competition is lower. So a fully contextual part to the conversation is super important. I can ramble on. I've given you no opportunity to speak. I apologize.
No, I've been biting my tongue. This is great.
Yeah.
Another big thing I just want to get your take on. Super interesting. You see people online and go, "I'm getting a 5x, I'm getting a 10x," and then you find out they're only spending 5,000 a month or 10,000 a month, and you go, "What's
Yeah.
scalable? Like what can you really scale at, right?" And people always get this wrong all the time, right? How
Yeah.
big's the market? What can you scale to? And if you really can't ramp your advertising, I don't know if you really have a business, right?
Right.
Um, that's repeatable process where you can really scale the revenue and turn it into something. So super
Here's a
interesting.
good little quick take on that. Especially, as you know, as a marketer, you're called a scammer if your offer sounds too good, and then you're also called a scammer if your results are too good. So I'll give you a good example. We've generated, like, probably at this point 9.5, maybe coming up close to 10 million in gross profit on one account, one offer, in the past 6 months. And we used it as a case study for ads. And people are like, oh, your ROAS isn't good enough. And it's like, first of all, if you knew how to generate a $10 million in gross profit, like just fill that sentence with the shut the,
Right, right,
up.
right.
And it's just like, your results can be too good. And then people are like, that's not real. It's
There's
not
no
good
way.
enough. And it's just
Right.
like, first of all, do you know how to generate $100,000 in revenue, let alone $1 million in revenue, let alone multiple millions of dollars in gross profit, right? And it's just like, damned if you do, damned if you don't, like, and you just kind of take it, right? It's not that big of a deal when you're sitting on this side of the table because you're gonna get that sort of commentary.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people who are using advertising to generate significant revenue well in their businesses, some of which is more efficient than others. But then it comes back to, again, business model, right? So, like, if I have recurring purchase as part of my product development strategy, then you're good. Like, you're good, right?
Right.
Um, and that's where like that's where the ads get exposed is on business model and expectation.
Well, and let's talk about this. Like a lot of brands go for, I guess, what I would call, since I'm more of a marketer, right?
Yeah.
CMO marketer guy, right? Is like the bottom of the funnel. Like go for the
Yeah.
people who are ready to buy and just pump them and
Right
hit them
now.
with all the ads, do
Yeah.
discount codes, sales, and all this. And I'm like, no, no, they don't even know
Yeah.
you. It's like asking a girl to sleep with you on the first day. They don't know you. They don't know who the hell you are. They don't know what your
Right.
product is, what it does, right? You haven't even shown
100%.
them features and benefits. You got to go higher up in the funnel, but the ROAS isn't going to be as good. Yeah, but that's how you're really going to drive the brand here and get. So you're exactly right. So brands who, or maybe it's even internal marketing folks who are listening to this, because I know there's a lot of marketers listening. How can they convince their bosses and get budgets for this to really show, more higher level content that's not
Yeah.
necessarily going to have a provable ROAS, right?
Yeah. I think it's kind of like it's how I look at um hiring people. Don't hire motivated people, or I'm sorry, don't motivate people, hire motivated people. And I'd say it's the same way right here as well. Like education and marketing is expensive. If you've got to convince your superiors and all the thing, let's be real and realistic and honest. They don't know how to create a profitable business,
They don't get it.
right?
Yeah.
They don't get it. So in reality, it's better to go surround yourself with people who get it. Go hang out with Preston, right? Like go be on his team, help him grow a company. He gets it, right? And so like,
Right.
you know, obviously I'm supposed to say go to your superiors and show them all this data but if they're the ones with the money, right? They're funding this thing. So
Well,
if
they're
they
not
don't
thinking that. Yeah.
fundamentally believe that like LTV is where the exit's going to come from, then like you're wasting your time, and it's probably better to put that time, effort and energy into like people who get it. Like Russell Brunson's not trying to make money from his ads. He's trying to sell you a $50,000 inner circle off of a $7 book,
It's
right?
kind of the Dan Kennedy hierarchy model, right? Where the
Yeah,
Ascension
huge
model,
fan
it
of
just
Dan.
keeps going up. Yeah, no, Dan Kennedy, I mean, oh my gosh. No, so
R.I.P. Yeah,
yeah. So for people who don't know, we're throwing around a lot of terms, right? Like, can you jump through? And you probably know more than I do. I'm I'm an amateur compared to you, Will. But can we go through
appreciate
CAC
that.
and ROAS and kind of just break down some of these terms real quick so people know what we're
Yeah,
talking
so
about?
let's start with ROAS actually, because a lot of marketers chase ROAS when they're running ads. So they'll say like, "Oh, this ad or this campaign's getting a 2.5x." The thing about ROAS is that ROAS fluctuates based on user experience, right? So if you've got $150 products on your website and you've got $15 products on your website, guess what? Your ability to create control and stability is not going to happen, right? So we could go into we could do an hour-long special on just that, and maybe we should. But
I'm in.
ROAS is a calculation of 4 key data points. And so the reason most people can't figure out why the ROAS, let's just even say 2x is a good ROI. If
Yep.
you were to put $100 into the stock market, you'd be happy as shit that you made 200. Sorry if I dropped the curse word and
No,
you
yeah.
might have to delete that out.
No,
I'm
no.
just being myself. um, but like, I try to get people to think of their advertising like how they approach the stock market. Like some people day trade and other people invest. Even the people who are trying to make money from the stock market, they buy the Apple stock like I did in 2010, and I keep buying every time it goes down because by the time I'm about to cash that out, my return is going to be substantial, right?
Right.
And so, when you look at ROAS, it's calculated by 4 key data points: CPM, conversion rate, AOV, and CPC. Right? So ROAS is the result of 4 other things that you have the ability to control.
Yeah.
And so when you're chasing return on ad spend and you have products on your website that are $120, the reason that your ROAS is fluctuating is because your AOV is fluctuating. And the reason that your AOV is fluctuating is because your conversion rate is fluctuating. And the reason that your ROAS is fluctuating is because depending on who you're targeting and how good your ad creative is, your CPM and your CPC are going to fluctuate, which then also impacts your ROAS, right?
Yeah.
So most people are like, oh, I put in ad creative, I target the health and wellness audience because my supplement brand, fits with that. And then it's like, oh, how come I'm not able to get a 5X? Well, it's like, dude, you know how many people are advertising supplements to health and
Right.
wellness brands or health and wellness affinity audiences?
It's driving up that. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's driving up the
CPM,
cost,
the CPC.
CPM. So that's ROAS, return on ads. I just went super like probably too advanced on that, but
No, that
return
was
on
great. I've
ads.
never heard it explained like that. That was awesome.
Oh, cool. I have a mathematical calculation spreadsheet on how to forecast all that stuff too, by the way. We could drop that in the show notes. If anybody
That'd be
wants
awesome.
it,
That'd
drop
be
it in
awesome.
the show notes. It's called the ad ROI calculator. So anyways, like if let's just jump on that real quick and then I'll jump back to CAC. If you were thinking about launching a product, the best thing that you should do is use the ad ROI calculator first to form your own expectations. Because like if you come to me and
Beautiful.
you're like, yo, Will, I want a 5X ROAS, I'm gonna be like, mathematical formula, not possible. This is what it would be to make it possible. Instead of running a $100 product, run $1,000 product and convert 1% of them and you'll get a 5X return on ad spend. Right? But when you try to force square peg into round hole and then you're spinning your wheels for 3 years on why you can't get it to work, well, it was never going to work in the first place. And that's where guys like me, the top 1%ers, I'll put myself in that category, who we know where it's going to go before it ever even gets started. Use the ad ROI calc and you'll save yourself a heck of a lot of time, effort, energy, and money and mental strain before you ever even launch something. And then CAC is that cost per acquisition. Some people call it cost to acquire a customer. That's actual CAC. Or CPA, cost per acquisition. Some people call it CPP, cost per purchase, if you're really looking at it from an ads perspective. So yeah, that cost per acquisition is a calculation of conversion rate, cost per click, and CPM. So if you want your cost per acquisition to come down, just convert more of the traffic that you're already buying.
Yeah,
so
that's pre-sale, and then there's post-sale. There's upsells. There's AOV, boosting AOV. That can change the game for you too, right?
100%.
So there's so many levers where if somebody goes and contacts you and goes, this doesn't work, I've got this $50 product, and you look at their funnel and you go, no, this will work, and here's what you need to do, and here's what you've got wrong. And I'm sure there's all throughout the funnel issues, right? Your creative
100%.
sucks. You don't have a compelling offer. Can you talk to like, I mean, you've got a million case studies, right? Like stupid stuff that people got wrong where they're blowing budgets and you made some minor tweaks. Like, what did you do? What were the results?
Yeah, I mean, back, I would say maybe a couple years ago, we used to love what we called takeovers, where we would just, acquire some data, overhaul the funnel, and, just get it rocking and rolling. And by what I mean by overhauling the funnel is usually going with a strategy that we call a closed loop funnel. So instead of that Shopify website experience where you've got 20 products, some are $15, others are $100, I'm trying to create consistent cost structure, CPA, around one product through a closed loop funnel, meaning you can't get anywhere else on the website, you can't view any other products, etc. And if I can get that acquisition product to convert anywhere between 2 and 5%, I have a whole strategy structure and things of how we create those high converting landing pages. That's what we would do. We would go overall where we're running traffic to, increase conversion through a CRO based strategy, create more consistent cost structure around that, if you want to call it a hero product or an acquisition offer, and then let the back end do the rest of the work. Scale the spend up, because now we have a more consistent ROAS, conversion rate, and cost per acquisition. And that's what we would do. And we would do that on offers, less than $100 and, things like that. But truthfully, I won't even touch a ecom brand with an AOV of less than really $75 to $100 nowadays. Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it for us because,
Really?
yeah, no, it's pointless. Unless they have, and here's why. Ad ROI calc. I'll do a quick calculation for you real quick.
Yeah.
If your CPM is, let's say your CPM is $15, and I run through this a lot. I hope that I get this right and I don't misspeak. If your CPM is $15, which is the average CPM now for all advertisers across Facebook, that includes brand awareness campaigns, by the way.
Really?
This is what WordStream reports. So WordStream is the data source for 2020. I think it's 2022 data. It could be 2020, the 2022 report based on 2021. So $15 CPM. Let's say that you're getting a 1% click-through rate, above average. Let's say that you're getting a 2% conversion rate, average Shopify conversion rate, and a $75 AOV. If my math is not mistaken, I believe that puts you at a 1x return on ad spend. And so we just used industry averages, and I could be slightly off. I haven't run that without looking at my sheet in probably a couple months. But long story short, based on industry average KPIs for click-through rate, conversion rate, and CPM, you're not getting to a 3 to 5x return anytime freaking soon at less than $100 AOV. Right? So why would I even take that on?
People. Yeah.
Why would I take that on?
You're talking AOV though. This is not LTV. This is just AOV. Correct. On the initial. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's why it's a bloodbath. And like, nobody's really talking about this, but a lot of these private equity firms, even some of the Amazon aggregators who have gone out with this acquire and built this huge, massive entity of different corporations and brands. And you're seeing them, everybody's gotten quiet about it because a lot of them are going out of business or they're trying to fire sell them. And people who look at them, they're going, with this EBITDA and, this revenue, we're not going to pay a 3 to 5x.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll give you a 1x. It's just
so, especially for you and I, like CMO types, right? Us knowing that ad ROI calculation is probably the best thing that we could consult and provide to an e-com business. Because if we're thinking about launching a new offer, or if we're thinking about where we need to make adjustments to the business model, you would approach it so much differently. And that's where the conversation then becomes how to build a bulletproof acquisition funnel or offer for paid traffic, right? Because now that you know that an AOV, we can slice it and dice it however we want, but an AOV, the majority of the time of less than $100 is not going to be profitable for you. You're going to be like, pump the brakes. We need to approach our acquisition completely differently, right?
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah. The brands that are winning have like $200 AOVs and stuff, or they have subscription offers, or they have, high ticket like info style coaching programs and stuff like that. Those are the ones that are doing very well through ads.
So somebody who's got a brand, and I know you have to go soon, so if you got to go, just let me know.
Yeah, we'll set up a part 2. No worries.
Okay, the last question. Somebody who's got a brand with an AOV under $75, what the F do they do? Like, not do Facebook ads, focus on SEO, organic social, influencers? Like, what would you tell them to do based on the information you just shared?
I wouldn't run to TikTok just because you think that we run a ton of TikTok, but your conversion rates are probably going to be lower on TikTok. So it's going to balance itself out the same exact way. For the most part. Again, grain of salt for the most
Right,
part.
right.
Yeah. This is what I would do. I would stop advertising. I would market outside of the US and figure out how to reach the rest of the world. I would, advertise in Canada and UK and Australia. Um, I would probably focus on a really, I would focus on turning my business into how do I want to say this? Either working with influencers or going the affiliate route, meaning you're going to go partner with people and pay them a stable $50 cost per acquisition in order to get you customers, which there's a lot of guys out there like me who are willing to use our own money because we know how to media buy. If someone can give me a stable CPA and they're like we're working with On It, for example, running Alpha Brain. They pay us $120 CPA. Everything else that's less than that is net profit, right? And so,
Yep.
with that, I would look to set up an affiliate network and get an affiliate manager, and I would pay advertisers. I would work with email publishers and things like that, and I'd say, hey, let's do this email offer together. I'll pay you $30 for every customer that comes from your list. Stable cost per acquisition. The other thing that I would do is I would have a serious look at my offer strategy and how I'm going to acquire customers and what product I'm going to use to acquire customers with. And then I'd also do the same thing with influencers. Like I would make influencers affiliates and I'd say, hey, I'm going to pay you a $20 CPA, for every product that you sell, and, no cap, or like, once you reach 100 units a month, I'll give you $25 CPA. Because if you have good margins, even if you have a 30% margin in your business and then you're paying another 10 or 20% in commission, you're still 50% net, right?
Yeah.
So that's where like a lot of you still have to pay for it's still paid traffic though,
Right.
like at the end of the day. Um so I would be looking to adjust my acquisition offer overall, um, and have a look at it that way. Or I would go about it the affiliate route.
Love it. This is excellent. Will's got to go. Thank you so much, Will Perry. Where can
Pleasure.
people learn more about you? Drop your links. What's the best site and socials to find you at, man?
Yeah, if anything I talked about today was the least bit helpful, you can go to elitemediabuyersacademy.com. You can get my entire creative testing SOP for $97.
There
It's
it
great
is.
for marketers, ad buyers, agencies who need an SOP for media buying. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. I post a ton on LinkedIn. That's where Preston and I originally got connected. Find me on LinkedIn at Will Perry. I would love to connect with you guys, answer questions, etc. It's great to be here with you.
Awesome. Thanks, Will.
Thank you, man. Pleasure.